Shabbat Shalom, family.
Shabbat Shalom.
Hey, family, we are excited that you all can join us today, family.
Yes.
We are so thankful to Yah
Yes,
for
hallelujah.
waking us up this morning, family, and being able to fellowship with you all, family.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
He is amazing. And we just been thankful for this good weather that we've been having. We've been getting a lot of rain, but not too much.
Right.
It's helping with the plants and the
Right.
okra.
Our garden.
Sister Abby, I've been having the okra starting to produce.
Yes, hallelujah.
Yep, they're going to continue. So all praises to Yah, family. Family, today, I'm sure you all have seen the title. We are talking about the hidden power of altars and elevating your prayers, family. Family, this topic will be deep.
Deep.
It will pretty much be a continuation of the things that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. So we probably it's going to wrap up everything, and it's all going to come together, family. If you hadn't seen those past lessons from the past few weeks, definitely, family, go check those out. But this will be deep, family. We're talking about altars, and when you hear about altars, the first thing we think of, family, what do you think of? We all came out of the church. We think of the altar call.
Yes. And the altars that's in the modern day churches
Right.
today. You know, which with the stairs that everybody walk up to. Well, you know where the people preach, where the pastors preach.
Right.
On top of that altar.
That's the altar, but really, is that an altar? Because you think about it, it's really just a podium.
But of
It's
course,
a podium that the pastors, he calls everybody up and
right.
tell them, give your life to Christ and all that stuff like that.
Doing altar calls.
Right.
Kind of similar to the Old Testament scriptures, although they often say the Old Testament is done away with, the Old Covenant done away with.
What part is similar?
The altar part, the altar calls.
They was doing altar calls in the Old Testament?
Well, you know how the people used to go up, you know, and confess their sins, and they had to do the sacrifices.
I got you,
right. But I'm saying it's a different type of sacrifice. Today it's not animal sacrifice because we know we have Yahushua. But I'm just talking about the altar calls every week.
Right.
Same people over and over again every week. And how they had, you know, like certain altar, you know, not certain altars. They had an altar.
Right.
At the around the tabernacle.
Around the tabernacle and around the temple and stuff like that.
Although it was different.
Right.
That one didn't. I don't think it had stairs.
Right.
That one didn't have stairs. But the modern day ones today.
Right, but we're going to define it because that's another way people think about altars too. This is how I thought about it, family. You think about how they had the stones to build an altar. So you think about the altars that they do in church, the altar call. But I thought about it as, okay, well, the stone altars that they put the rocks on. Who did it? I think Jacob did it. He put some stones on top of each other. Abraham did it. Yep. So you think about stuff like that.
Right.
But do you really know the power, the hidden power behind the altar? Why was Yah making them do that, family? So we're gonna dive deep into that into that today, family, and understand what's the power in the altars. So
yeah, this lesson is gonna be deep, but before we move forward, I would like to mention something about last week's message. You know, we were getting comments and people were mentioning things about the witchcraft, the things that we were speaking on. You remember when like people were
about
asking certain questions, right, about the covenants, and they were asking certain questions, like some of them was about tea, or you know, like some of them was about us. What do you remember? Some of the covenants, some of the things that they mentioned. I know one of them was about America being in America.
And somebody said something about the military,
Just we started seeing that a lot of things were being named that we didn't touch on. We just want to say this. And that in our messages, it wasn't us saying that every single thing, like how can I say that? Every single thing that we do, you all, we have to denounce that covenant, because we have to remember some things we're in the land of our captivity. So some things we cannot just say, we have to erase this covenant, right? Because we're in the land of our captivity. So, for instance, me and Brother Rasha, before we came into the knowledge of the truth, you know, we were married,
right?
You know, and so we had a marriage where we formed a covenant with Yah because in our hearts, that's what we were doing. That's what we understood. But we also signed papers, right? In the land of our captivity, right? But then would we go and say, okay, let's go get a divorce? Right. You know, like let's start a new covenant. Let's start a new covenant.
This one is wicked.
Because this is wicked, you know.
So that's with the government.
Right. So it's just kind of like you look at certain things and you have to just know, you know, let the Ruach guide you into understanding what does it mean to denounce certain covenants. Because we were just talking about, when we say denounce covenants, we mean like all wicked covenants, like covenants that was formed that caused wickedness, like generational curses in your life, and open you up to demonic influence or curses. Right.
Like these sororities and things like that. Right. So that's important, family.
We kind of named a lot of them already, but you know, because we just was seeing all kind of different things, and it was like, well, we didn't mean it to that extent. You just have to let the Ruach lead you and guide you.
And you got to have a balance.
Right. You have to have a balance because, again, we living in the land of our captivity. This is a pagan nation. Like this, everything around us is pagan, right? From the days of the week to the months. But we still utilize these things, you know, on calendars to remember things, to
we
go to
all
work.
got those dollar bills in our pocket. Right. And that's one of the most wicked currency in the world.
Right.
But that's the system that they set up. That's the system that we're under.
Yes. So it just was important to mention this because we don't want everybody to be walking around fearful of everything.
Exactly.
That wasn't the purpose of the message, because when we come to know Yah, He doesn't want us to fear anything but Him. We don't have to. We don't have to no longer walk in fear. Right. When we have Yah, because He protects us from all evil. Right. So the purpose of it is not to be in fear. Right. It's just to turn our hearts back to Yah and to denounce and renounce certain things that we know that we have been exposed to and open to, that has caused attacks in our lives and generational curses. Right.
Yep, we just have to be, like we were saying, family, we just have to have a balance, because the things that we can control and that, okay, we can cut this out. We know better now we could do better. Right. A sister wrote us and said, you know what? Brother Rasha had a symbol on his shirt. I don't know if y'all know the story behind it. She shared it. Guess what? Just like how I said about the Starbucks. Right. I know what Starbucks means now. Right. I love Starbucks. Right. Guess what? I don't want no part of it no more.
Right. Exactly.
Even though I drunk it all these years and I felt like it didn't affect me. Right. Now I know. Guess what? I don't want no part of it.
Right. Exactly. So when you know better, you do better. Exactly. You know, it's just some things that we do that we how can I say this? We do that we were not aware of. You know. Exactly. And so He's continuing to cleanse us every day and show us things. So that we can get rid of these things out of our lives, you know, because many of us, you know, we did some things, we did it in ignorance. Exactly. You know, some things today we probably still doing in ignorance. Yep. But iron sharpens iron in the walk,
and we're learning each and every day. The scripture tells us to examine ourselves, family. Right. That's what we have to do each and every day, family.
Very true.
Yeah, but how we was talking about the altars, family, and this is something that we said last week too. We have to remember that the hidden power behind these altars. Yah established altars for a reason, and we have to remember that Satan, he copies everything that Yah does. We were talking about this earlier.
But wickedly.
Yes, wickedly. He uses it for unrighteousness.
Right.
When we see movies and TV shows and all that, these witches, they have altars. You see them praying to these idols. They'll have some beads somewhere that they praying to. They have candles around it. That's an altar. So why? Because a lot of us, especially those that came out of religion, we feel like, you know what? I don't have to do those things no more. I am just saved by the blood. Right. But why? The powers of darkness, they still using it.
They still using it.
They must have some power in that.
They are using it against the saints.
Exactly.
This is how they attack us.
Yep.
By these altars. So today, we encourage you to listen all the way to the end, because we're going to be sharing some deep, deep things. But this is how the saints of Yah attacked.
Being attacked because there is power
in altars.
In altars, family. And again, we are learning new things each and every day. And it is not for us to fear, just like Sister Abigail said. Mm-hmm.
Yes, there was that scripture that says, those who fear Yah could rest satisfied. He will not be visited by harm. We can rest satisfied in Yah. So we have to remember his promises and make sure that we affirm these things daily in our lives, that we remember his word.
Right.
You know, his promises that tells us that we're going to be all right. And those who dwell in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of his wings. So today is going to be some breakthrough. It's going to be some breakthrough because you guys, I mean, this message here is going to be revealing a lot. Because just like the adversary and his minions have wicked altars that they use against the children of light, the children of Yah, Yah also has his own altars that helps us as his children of light to be able to overcome in this wicked world. And, you know, just to be able to, what can I say, have hope. You know, I don't want to give it away. I don't want to give the message away, but you'll see what we're talking about if you hang on.
And I just want y'all to think about this before we get started, how I was speaking about these witches, and when people using witchcraft, they have these altars. They have these altars for one reason, family. It's to speak to these demons. This is the portal where they speak to these demons. That's why they keep servicing these altars. That's why they keep the candles burning. That's why they keep sacrificing to these altars. So
they are still doing blood sacrifices.
Yes. Where did they get that from? Let's go to the scriptures. Let's go to the scriptures and see how Yah established the altar. And one we always talk about too is the Catholic Church. RCC, how they always, one of the biggest altars they have is those statues. How we used to go down and pray, kneel down to these altars, to these idols.
And I was one of them.
Yes, and Yah told us not to do that.
Right. And I remember being in my teens, and I shared this story before in the past. I was so blinded, I didn't have a clue. I really thought this image of Jesus was the Savior.
Right.
I really thought it was Jesus, and the image of Jesus was our Savior. Just operating in ignorance. And the sad part about it is it still happens today.
Right.
And you hear people try to shut this truth up. When these things are still happening today, we see it all the time. We see people like they have these statues in their yards, statues of Mary, statues of the Jesus, right? That, you know, have these things in their yard. So people really still believe like that.
That's altars.
Yes,
that is altars.
I remember going and kneel down in the church with the JC idol and look up to it and pray and cry, you all. I mean, I had to, of course, repent over this wickedness. But when you don't know, you know, in ignorance, I did that. And that was a wicked altar.
Absolutely.
Which we're going to touch on more.
Yes. So let's go to the scriptures, family. Let's look at when Yah established the altar. Let's go to Genesis, starting at chapter 8, verse 20. You want to read that?
It says, Then Noah built an altar to Yahuwah and took of every clean animal and every clean bird and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And Yahuwah smelled a soothing aroma. Then Yahuwah said in his heart, I will never again curse the ground for man's sake. Although the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth, nor will I again destroy every living thing as I have done.
Whoa, this is deep, family. This is deep. This is one of the first times where we see an altar being established. Noah built an altar onto Yahuwah. That word altar, family, that's Strong's number 4196. That word is mizbeach. And the definition is an altar. The Brown Driver Briggs lexicon says it's a place of slaughter. The word origin is Strong's number 2076. That's the word zabak. And some of the definitions it has is offer a sacrifice, offer sacrifices. So this is important, family. I want y'all to remember that. Offer a sacrifice.
Remember how it said?
Right. Well, it's a lot of symbolism of what just happened too, because how it showed that he offered a clean bird, every clean animal, and he offered them as burnt offerings on the altar. So we know later on that when Yahuwah told the Israelites to do burnt offerings, he told them do it with clean animals, do it with spotless animals.
Right.
Don't come here with a lamb with a broken leg.
Right.
Y'all say come with your best.
Without blemish. Right.
Without blemish. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. So just some takeaways from what happened with Noah and how when he built the altar, family, it was for worship and thanksgiving. Remember, Yah had just saved him and his family. So as soon as he stepped off the ark, family, he built that altar to say, you know what, Yah, thank you. I acknowledge what you've done for me. I acknowledge what you've done for my family. This is where he spoke to Yah. Well, Yah spoke to him. And this is what we're going to discover too, family, at altars. Yah makes covenants at these altars. This is where covenants happen. This is where Yah speaks to you at the altar, family. Because what he said he will not destroy the earth again in that way. He will not destroy all mankind. So he made the covenant and a promise to Noah.
Right.
And again, he made the sacrifice at the altar, family. He made the sacrifice and he atoned at that altar, family. So that's deep. We have to remember that. So let's look at another example. Abraham. Yeah, we just spoke. Abraham made an altar. Genesis chapter 12, verse 7. You want to read that?
It says, Then Yahuwah appeared to Abram and said, To your descendants I will give this land. And there he built an altar to Yahuwah who had appeared to him.
Wow. So again, as soon as Yah made that promise to him, Yah made the covenant. This is when Yah told him, and we read a couple of verses ahead, he said, your descendants will be blessed. I'm going to bless those that bless you. All these things. So, family, this is deep. We're seeing that Yah is speaking to the patriarchs at the altar. Every time he spoke to them, Noah made an altar. Abraham built an altar. So there must be some type of power in that altar. Why are they doing this? Why are they doing an altar, family? And again, this is where he made those covenants at the altar. So covenants could be made at altars. And he said not only will Abraham be blessed, his generations will be blessed. That goes back to when last week when we were speaking about the covenants. How those covenants go through generations, family. That's why if there's a wicked covenant, you got to break that one. Because it's going through the bloodline, family.
To the third and the fourth generation.
It has to be broken.
Very true.
So he did it with Noah. He did it with Abraham. He told the Israelites to build an altar. Let's see what he told the Israelites, family. Exodus chapter 20, starting at verse 22. You want to read that?
It says, Then Yahuwah said to Moses, Thus you shall say to the children of Israel, You have seen that I have talked with you from heaven. You shall not make anything to be with me. Elohims of silver or Elohims of gold. You shall not make for yourselves an altar of earth. You shall make for me, and you shall sacrifice on it your burnt offerings and your peace offerings, your sheep and your oxen. In every place where I record my name, I will come to you and I will bless you.
Y'all hear that, family? Y'all say when you build this altar, I will come to you and I will bless you. What? Y'all gonna bless you at the altar?
Right.
That altar must have some power.
Right. I want to say too, and remember what y'all was saying. He said, you shall not make anything to me. with Elohims of silver and Elohims of gold. We know you're saying like God.
Right.
You shall not make for yourselves, right? So he was telling them, don't do this.
Don't make any idols.
Don't do this,
is what
right?
he's saying.
Don't do this at my altar. Don't do it at all.
Right.
But don't do it at my altar. And he said, an altar of earth you shall make for me. So that's all I want you to make.
Right.
Don't you come with no false gods at my altar.
That's deep, family. So we saw that when he said the altar of earth, we know that Abraham was using rocks. Jacob used rocks. So they was using rocks to make their altars.
Right.
And Noah had did it to make that sacrifice. He burned the sacrifice on the altar.
Right.
So it's deep, family.
Right.
Yah said too, he told the Israelites, when you make that altar, it's going to be an atonement. It's going to be an atonement for sins. Let's look at that. Leviticus 17, verse 11. It says, for the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given to you upon the altar to make atonement for your souls. For it is in the blood that makes atonement for the soul. So Yah's telling the Israelites, upon the altar, you make an atonement for your souls. That altar is powerful, family.
And we know, like here it says, the flesh is in the blood. It's talking about that, but we know today, now the sacrifice, we know it's Yahushua, right? But just seeing here, this is letting us know too, like a lot of the tactics of the adversary,
right?
Because this is what he uses as well. He knows the principles of Yah. He knows the laws of Yah. And he uses this with animal and human sacrifices. The blood that comes from that. And that is how he tries to this is how he seeks to destroy the children of Yah.
That's
this is
the sacrifice
his
he wants from the children of evil.
So he's still doing these types of offerings, but he's doing it in a wicked way. He's doing it by using human beings, the blood of humans, the blood of animals for wickedness.
But I thought all this old covenant stuff was over with. But witches still doing this.
Witches are still using this.
And they still attacking people.
Right.
So it must be power in those altars.
Right. Right.
Y'all think about that, family.
Yes.
Why are they still doing it?
Why are they still doing it?
So let's look at another example. Yah told them on that altar, keep the fire burning. Let's look at Leviticus 6, starting at verse 8. You want to read that?
It says, Yahuwah spoke to Moses, saying, command Aaron and his sons, saying, this is the law of the burnt offering. The burnt offering shall be on the earth on the altar all night until the morning. And the fire of the altar shall be kept burning on it. You all listen to everything we read, because these are some important things. It's going to come
He's
back
laying out
together.
Some important principles. Yes.
Right.
He's telling us something, family.
Yes. And the priest shall put on his linen garment and put his linen undergarment on his body. And he shall take up the ashes to which the fire has reduced the burnt offering on the altar and put them beside the altar. Then he shall take ashes outside the camp to a clean place. The fire on the altar shall be kept burning. This is important. The fire on the altar shall be kept burning on it. It shall not go out. The priest shall burn wood on it every morning.
This is deep.
And he shall arrange the burnt offering on it, and shall burn on it the fat of the peace offerings. Fire shall be kept burning on the altar continually. It shall not go out.
So Yah saying, keep that fire burning on my altar. And he told the priest shall burn wood on it every morning. This is deep. This is telling us something. And David understood what Yah was saying. Let's touch on that right quick. Let's go to Psalms chapter 5, verse 3. David said this, family. He said, my voice you shall hear in the morning. O Yahuwah, in the morning I will direct it to you, and I will look up.
Wow. Wow.
He's saying keep that fire burning.
Keep it burning. And you understand what this means, as we continue to go through this.
Yes, David is hinting at it.
Right, right.
David said, my voice you shall hear in the morning.
In the
Oh,
morning.
Yahuwah, in the morning. I wonder what David going to be saying in the morning.
Right, and what voice is he talking about, right?
Right.
Some of you probably already have figured it out.
Let's look at another rule Yah established on his altar. Yah said he wants no idolatry. We kind of read it a while ago, but he's going to establish it again in Leviticus 17, starting at verse 6. You want to read that?
It says, and the priest shall sprinkle the blood on the altar of Yahuwah at the door of the tabernacle of meeting, and burn the fat for a sweet aroma to Yahuwah. They shall no more offer their sacrifices to demons.
Say that again.
They shall no more offer their sacrifices to demons, after whom they have played the harlot. So wow, that's what you're doing when you do that, right?
Yep.
This shall be a statute forever for them throughout their generations.
That's deep, family. Where it says demons, the King James says they shall no more offer their sacrifices to devils, whom they have played the harlot. So that goes back to when Aaron made them that golden calf. They sacrificed to that God.
Right.
Y'all say have no other Elohim before me.
Right.
You do that, you're sacrificing to devils.
Yes.
You're sacrificing to demons.
Yes. So those of us too who was in idolatry, who came up in the RCC religion, or even though you didn't, like you could have been in other religions, but they still had that wicked idol. The wicked, the JC
images,
and the images and all of that stuff. This is what was going on.
Y'all said do not do it.
It's called sacrificing to demons, and it's prostituting ourselves.
Right.
That's what was going on, and we didn't have a clue. But praise y'all for healing, for deliverance, and for opening up our eyes so that we can see now. Hallelujah.
So family, let's recap right quick. This is what we know about the altars. This is what Yah established about the altars. Number one, this is the place Yah will speak to you at the altar. This is what the patriarchs did, family. When Yah saved Noah, Noah built that altar. Yah, thank you. Yah made the covenant with them there, family. He made the covenant with Abraham after he made the altar. He makes promises at the altar.
Right. Was it after or before the altar? Remember, he did the.
Well, he spoke. He spoke to him.
Right.
Yep, he spoke to him exactly. When they had the altars, he spoke to them.
Right, but they understood when that happened. When y'all spoke to them, I gotta make an altar,
exactly.
right? Because they knew this is an altar.
Yes,
I gotta do this.
Because y'all spoke to me. He heard me.
And they spoke to y'all, right? It was an interaction between them and y'all.
Yep, exactly. That was that interaction. Remember that, family. The altar was a place for atonement. This was a place to go for forgiveness of your sins.
Right.
We know it talked about the sacrifices. We know now that Yahushua is our sacrifice.
Right.
He said the fire was to always burn on the altar. The fire is to never go out on the altar, family. So, family, we know this. There is power in that altar.
Yes.
Just from what we just read.
Right.
There is power in that altar.
Right.
Again, this is something that the church never talked about. All you heard was come do the altar call.
Right.
Never talked about an altar.
But today you're going to learn about a different kind of altar.
Yes.
Which is the most powerful altar. And the right altar.
And just like how we said, family, Satan copied everything that Yah does. So, Yah has his altars, and there are evil altars. What Sister Abiyah just said, we have to know the difference.
Right.
And in the scriptures, we're going to see, when Yah said do the altar to him this way, mighty things happen, family. Powerful things happen. And when they did it the wicked way, the evil way, woe to them.
Right. Opening up yourself to curses.
Yes. To all types of things. So let's look at an example of the power of Yah's altar. Let's look at that. We're going to go to 1 Kings chapter 8, starting at verse 22. You want to read that?
It says, Then Solomon stood before the altar of Yahuwah in the presence of all the assembly of Israel.
Wow.
And spread out his hands toward heaven. And he said, Yahuwah of Israel, there is no Yah in heaven above or on earth below like you. You keep your covenant and mercy with your servants who walk before you with all their hearts. What is that? Love Yahuwah with all your hearts, all of your mind, all of your strength. Oh my goodness.
So what's powerful here, family, is that Solomon is reminding Yah of all the things he did.
Right. And all the things that Yah has commended.
Yes.
He said, what he said, love with all your heart, right? So he says, you who keep your covenant and mercy with your servants who walk before you with all their hearts.
Wow, he's reminding Yah of the covenant at the altar, family. Wow.
Right. You have kept what you promised. Your servant David, my father. You have both spoken with your mouth and fulfilled it with your hand, as it is this day. Therefore, Yahuwah of Israel, now keep what you promised your servant David, my father, saying, You shall not fail to have a man sit before me on the throne of Israel, only if your sons take heed to their way, that they walk before me as you have walked before me. And now I pray, O Yah of Israel, let your word come true. Well, listen to what he said. And now I pray, O Yah of Israel.
Praying at the altar. Remember, family, he stood before the altar. And he's doing all these things at the altar.
At the altar. And now I pray, O Yah of Israel, let your word come true. Wow. Which you have spoken to your servant David, my father. So he's reminding Yah. You remember this when you said this, Yah?
Yep.
So he believed that. I know it got to be true because what the scripture says, Yah is not a liar, right? He's not a man that he should lie, or the son of man that he should repent. He should change his mind. But will Yah indeed dwell on the earth? Behold, heaven and the heaven of heavens cannot contain you. How much less this temple which I have built.
So Solomon knows, he's like, even though I built this temple, it can't hold you, Yah. It cannot hold you.
It can't. Yet regard the prayer. You all, this is deep. Yet regard the prayer of your servant and his supplication. O Yahuwah, my Yah, and listen to the cry and the prayer which your servant is praying before you today, that your eyes may be open toward the temple night and day, toward the place of which you said, my name shall be there, that you may hear the prayer which your servant makes toward this place. Y'all hear that?
Wow.
He says, so that you may hear the prayer. It says, your servant makes toward this place. And may you hear the supplication of your servant and of your people Israel when they pray toward this place here in heaven, your dwelling place. And when you hear, forgive.
Wow, that goes back to atonement. That goes back to forgiveness.
Those who dwell in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of his wings. So y'all hear everything that's being said. This is important.
Yes.
A lot of things are symbols.
Yep.
It is symbols.
And like we said, family, Solomon is reminding Yah of all the things that he did for his father, his forefathers throughout the generations. He's reminding him of the covenant. Multiple times in this passage of scriptures, it said, family, he was praying to Yah at the altar. So Solomon knew that there was power. He could have said this anywhere else. He could have went around. He could have been in the temple. He could have been outside the temple,
Anywhere
amongst
else.
the people. He was at the altar, family, because he knew the power of the altar.
Very deep.
That's deep, family. That is deep.
Yes.
So let's look at, we saw the power of Yah's altar. Let's look at these evil altars and how was that established? What happened? Did they know? Did Satan know about altars? Did he know about altars? Did he use altars? So we all heard the story of Balum and Balak. That's the king Balak when he saw all the children of Israel in the valley, and he thought that they was going to overpower them because he heard that how they've been beating up all these other tribes and all that. So he like, they're going to overtake me. So he's like, I don't stand a chance. So he's like, I can't defeat them in the physical. I got to beat them in the spiritual. So he wanted to curse the Israelites. Yep.
So he knew that.
He knew it. I can't do nothing. That's too many of them. It's too big. I can't. They done whip all these other tribes. I can't do nothing with them. He's like, I'm going to the spiritual. I got something. So again, Satan knows about the spiritual.
Yes.
He knows.
Yes.
So what Balak, the king Balak did, he went to Balaam, one of the wicked prophets. He said, come here. I want you to curse these Israelites because they're too many. They're too many, family. So this is what happened. Let's look at Numbers 23, starting at verse 1. And you can read the whole chapter to get the gist of the whole story, but we're going to kind of just paraphrase some verses right quick. Numbers 23:1, it says this. Then Balaam said to Balak, build 7 altars for me here, and prepare for me here 7 bulls and 7 rams. So before Balaam went to curse the Israelites, he told King Balak, build for me 7 altars. Why he just didn't tell him attack or do something else?
Right.
First thing he said, build me an altar. They must have power in those altars. There must be power in an altar, family. That's the first thing that devil did. Build an altar to curse those Israelites.
Right, because he definitely was being influenced by a demon to even want to do that and go against Yah.
Exactly.
Yah's children.
That King Balak. So we're going to drop down to 19 where, remember, Yah told Balaam not to curse the Israelites. So we'll start at 19. Numbers 23:19. It says this. Yah is not a man that he should lie, nor a son of man that he should repent. Has he said and he will not do? Or has he spoken and will not make it good? Behold, I have received a command to bless, and he has blessed. I cannot reverse it.
Whoa! Hallelujah! Did y'all hear that?
Balaam told the king, look, Yah told me to bless those Israelites. I cannot curse them. I don't care what altar we made.
He said, I can't reverse this. Because what Yah says is what it is.
This is what Yah commanded me to say. I have to bless them. Why Yah had to bless them? Let's listen.
Whoa.
Verse 21. He said, he has not observed iniquity in Jacob, meaning in Israel. Nor has he seen wickedness in Israel. Yahuwah, his Elohim, is with him, and the shout of a king is among them. So Yah saying, I don't care what altars y'all try to build. It could be wicked altars, but guess what? Because there's no sin in them, there's no wickedness in them, y'all cannot curse them.
Right.
Y'all cannot curse them, family.
What it said in Proverbs?
Proverbs 26, it said,
Proverbs
so a curse
26:2.
without cause shall not alight.
Yes. Curse without cause shall not come. This is Psalms 26:2, you all.
It's
it
not
was
gonna
no
touch us.
cause.
It was no cause. Couldn't
cause.
That goes back, right? That goes back to when we said close the door. When all the doors are closed, there ain't no curse you can do gonna harm me.
Couldn't attack.
I never left no opening.
No opening.
There's no opening.
He said he has not found any wickedness in Yashrael?
Mm.
What?
Mm.
This speaks volumes.
Speaks volumes, family. And that kind of reminds me too of when you was talking about that story about the sorority.
About
when it was being attacked and all that. Again, family, this is what Satan knows. To attack Yah's children, I have to come through an altar.
Yes.
I have to come. I'm going to them in the spiritual.
Right.
You know that there's power in these altars, family. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, yes. That reminds me of, I kind of shared it last week because I shared that one of our dear sisters in the walk shared this testimony with me, and it was of a girl who was coming out of a sorority, who came out of a sorority.
Mm-hmm.
She had to denounce her sorority, and she was giving her testimony. I'm a just kind of like briefly state what she was saying.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like what I remember, but she was in a sorority, and she said she always felt like something was wrong with it because they would use, like, they said God, but they would use God and use like Bible verses, but when it would come to Yah, the part where Yah name is supposed to go, they would put their God name in it, and it was just very demonic. But they try to say it was a Christian sorority. So because of that, and because she was a Christian, she thought that it was something that was holy, and so she was like, well, hey, it's a Christian sorority, so I'ma just join.
Hold your thought right there. And you know what's deep? And we heard this the other day. All these like sororities and these occult groups, they always want somebody to have a religion, and they always mix religion in it. So they really not fearful of it. And that's why they add the religion part in, like how you just said. Oh, they had religion in the sorority.
Right. And sometimes they do that too because to try to justify joining it.
Right.
Because they already know it's
You're not gonna
wicked
just
deep down
exactly.
inside,
But if they just promote it, oh, come join this wicked club, you're not gonna join that.
You're not gonna join it. And so, hey, I gotta make it seem like
it's harmless.
Right. There you go. There you go.
Yep.
Right. And so that's what they were doing. And so she joined, but she would get convictions from time to time. But she said she was like hard in it, going hard, always helping out, just doing things, to help out in the sorority around campus and whatnot. Like, I think they were also doing like, what do you call it when you go and you give up your time and stuff? I forgot. Right, volunteering, all of this stuff. And she said that eventually, she said she was getting a lot of convictions that she needed to remove herself. And she had a dream. One night she had a dream. And she said that in the dream, she had asked one of the girls that was in the sorority with her. She told the girl that she was going to be removing herself out of the sorority. She was going to denounce it. And she said, she asked her to not say anything to the other members. And she said, when everybody started coming around who was part of the sorority, they started gathering around, and the girl ratted her out and said, oh, she's going to be denouncing the sorority.
Wow.
I forgot what was the name of it. It may have been Delta, I think. But anyway, she started like exposing her, and she said everybody was around her, and she said it was an altar.
Wow.
They were like on an altar, and everybody was gathering around her and started to just come out on her and was bashing her, and they were like,
dream.
That was in the dream. And it was like people, but she said it was like demons. They were operating as demons, and they was like telling her, like just going off on her, and they were being mean towards her, like, why you want to denounce, blah, blah, blah. And she said she knew. She said Yahshua spoke to her and told her, and that through that dream, it's time to go. And so that's how she ended up leaving.
Wow.
But the fact that she was sharing in her dream, it was an altar.
Yes.
They were she was
attacking her.
Right. They were attacking her on an altar. So that just goes to show that it was a wicked altar that she formed.
And how Satan used an altar to attack her, to try to make her not try to walk away.
Right. Right.
So this is Satan uses altar, family.
Yes.
He knows the power in altars.
Yes.
These evil altars, family.
Right. But it was to try to make her fearful. But another part of that dream was Yah telling her too, revealing to her too, that this is wicked.
Exactly.
Because you on the altar with them, but they coming across as demonic, So you need to run, get yourself out of there.
Right. And in fact, it goes perfectly into our next story, talking about wicked altars, family. even though it may seem harmless.
Right.
Let's look at King Jeroboam. This is 1 Kings chapter 12, verse 25. Starting at verse 25, family. It says, Then Jeroboam built Shechem in the mountains of Ephraim. Last time I checked, Jeroboam was an Israelite, right?
Mm-hmm.
Supposed to be harmless.
Right.
Supposed to follow what Yah's telling him to do, right?
Yeah, right.
Full of wickedness.
Right.
And dwelt there. Also he went out from there and built Peniel. And Jeroboam said in his heart, didn't the scripture say that our heart is the most deceitful thing?
Right.
It didn't say, thus says Yahuwah.
Right.
It says Jeroboam said in his heart.
Right. Right.
It wasn't thus says Yahuwah. It was coming from him.
Him himself.
Now the kingdom may return to the house of David if these people go up to offer sacrifices in the house of Yahuwah at Jerusalem. Then the heart of his people will turn back to their Elohim. Rehoboam, king of Judah, and they will kill me and go back to Rehoboam, king of Judah. Verse 28. Therefore the king asked advice, made 2 calves of gold. Now, didn't y'all tell him in Leviticus not to make any other idols?
Right.
Not to make any gold or silver?
Yep.
Say you do that, you worshiping devils?
Yep.
Which were bought. What he said? Where am I? 28. It is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Here are your gods, O Israel, which brought you up from the land of Egypt. Wow. So he said these 2 gold calves brought you out of Egypt.
Wow.
Taking the esteem from Yah. And he set up one in Bethel, and the other he put in Dan. Now this thing became a sin, for the people went to worship before the one as far as Dan. Wow. He made shrines on the high places and made priests from every class of people who were not of the sons of Leah. So, Jeroboam was just wilding out. Jeroboam, like, I'm making my own rules.
Right. And he actually
I'm have
was
my
telling
own
the
priest.
children.
Wow.
Right. He was actually telling the children of Israel, these golden calves, this is who got you. This is who got you out of the land of Egypt. Making them forget Yah. Look, this is it. This is it. This is who you should be serving, because they are the reason why you are out of the land.
So that goes back to when we was in the RCC. Mary, JC, all these saints.
Right.
You worship these things. Don't worry about Yah. Yah's not the
right.
These saints and these
right.
statues. This is where the power is at. These altars. This is where the power is at.
Very true.
Y'all think about that, family.
And even the priests too. Because people have to call him Father.
Right.
And look up to them. Like a God as well.
Yes.
So it can be people too.
People too can be altars. Yes. Yes. Really. Anything we putting above Yah.
Yes. That we look at as a God. We treat as a God. That can be an altar.
Yes. Verse 32 it says, Jeroboam ordained a feast on the 15th day of the 8th month, like the feast that was in Judah, and offered sacrifices on the altar. It could have said the evil altar. Again, trying to mix light with darkness, not separating the unholy from the holy. He mixing it all together. Right. Wicked as all get out, family. So he did at.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
That remind me of what we were just talking about with the sorority. When they was mixing the Bible with the wickedness and other gods. Same thing. We do that today.
Yep.
We do that
today. We can't
do
it, family. We cannot do it. But again, that's Satan's tactics. That's what we always talk about. We can't be what it says. Don't be not ignorant of Satan's devices. That's his devices, family. Mixing the holy with the unholy.
Right.
Wow, I lost my place where I'm at in the scriptures.
Aren't we still here on the first Kings 12?
Okay. Family, we are at verse.
It's not 28.
Oh
no, we read that 20. How about 32?
Oh, he ordained a feast. Yep. Let me start. Yep, 32. Jeroboam ordained a feast on the 15th day of the 8th month, like the feast that was in Judah, and offered sacrifices on the altar. So he did at Bethel, sacrificing to the calves that he had made, doing what Yah told him not to do. And at Bethel he installed the priests of the high places which he had made. So he made offerings on the altar which he had made at Bethel on the 15th day of the 8th month, in the month which he had devised in his own heart. That heart, deceitfully wicked.
Right.
And he ordained a feast for the children of Israel, and offered sacrifices on the altar, and burned incense. That's an evil altar, family.
So that just goes to show they have righteous altars, they have good altars, and they have demonic altars.
Yes.
This is a demonic altar.
Absolutely. We can't mix the unholy with the holy, family. It reminds me too of that with the hook, how we talk about the hookah.
Right.
The hookah. I know we were saying hookah last week,
right?
But we really don't follow that, family.
No, you all not like that.
No,
we had seen a documentary on it, and then because we've heard people talking about it and stories about it,
and we see it when we riding around town.
Right, it's all over. It's almost on every corner. So we know that it exists, and we shared before of people that we know who were bragging about it and saying they were doing date nights. We just heard stories about all of these things.
Right.
So really, we was just saying what we thought. We thought it was pronounced, but we seen a brother put it in the comment. We went back and looked, and we was like, "Oh, me and brother Rashad laughed."
Right.
We was like, "Oh, this is hookah." We still hope we saying it right, but hookah, hookah.
Right.
But excuse our accent too.
But these hookah lounges, that's demonic altars, family.
Oh yes.
That is demonic altars.
Absolutely.
All the things that go into it, with the things that they have to do. I remember how we was talking about he said put the stones, how they made the
coals.
stones. Right.
Yes, you have to do it like in a triangle shape, which is the shape of a pyramid, you all. This is how they burning it. They using these coals and they put it down in the shape of a pyramid. It's a ritual.
Yes.
And the waters that go with it. Remember we mentioned marine kingdom. So all of these things are wicked rituals. And people like we said, forming around a table with it in the middle. Forming an altar, you all.
Yes.
This is what people are doing, because now that hookah is a god.
Yep.
It's a god.
And look how cold Satan is. Again, he makes it seem like it's harmless. When you worshiping at that altar.
Yes.
You are worshiping at that altar, because he knows there's power in that altar.
Right.
So you opening the door to all kind of demonic spirits.
Absolutely. And then they I think we mentioned it last week, but they put potions in it, you all. So whenever it's being burned, these are false gods that's coming from these things. So when people smoking it, they don't even realize that they are really what we say. I don't know what you would call it. Making covenants, making covenants with these gods. Subconsciously, they don't even know. They don't even know.
What we said last week, Satan could care less if you know about the covenant or not.
Right.
He just needs your attention.
Yes.
Your attention is the agreement.
Yes. Yes.
Your attention is the agreement, family.
Yes.
But Jeroboam, he built up these wicked altars. These evil altars, family. And we see in the next chapter 13, you can go and read it, where the man of Yah, he came and destroyed those altars. He said, nah, this is not going to stand. Yah going to come and destroy it. And that just reminds me of how we was talking in the last couple of weeks, that we have to go back, family, and destroy any wicked covenant that was in our lives, in our bloodline, in our generations. Yes, we have to go back and destroy it, because we read this thing goes through the generations, family.
Believe it or not, it doesn't just affect you. It will affect those coming after you if you don't repent. Right. Put an end to these wicked covenants.
Right. So not only destroying the altar now that's impacting your life, that's working witchcraft in your life, but going through the bloodline, going back through the generations, destroying all of. My great grandma was sacrificing to an altar. She had her altar.
Right.
I'm speaking against that. I'm telling y'all to break it to pieces.
Right.
Send it to the pits of hell.
Right.
Whoever had any witchcraft on me, send it to the pits
Right.
of hell where it belongs. Their altars will not work on me.
Yes. Yes.
And lastly, one of the last ones we seen was a wicked altars. Again, following that same pattern. Satan knows. He knows just how y'all goes through the generations. Yeah, Satan does the same thing.
Right.
This is when Yah told Gideon to destroy his father's altar. Let's look at that in Judges chapter 6. Chapter 6, starting at verse 1. You want to read that? Right here.
Let me see. I went too fast. Okay. It says, Then the children of Israel did evil in the sight of Yahuwah. So Yahuwah delivered them into the hand of Midian for 7 years. And the hand of Midian prevailed against Israel because of the Midianites. The children of Israel made for themselves the dens, the caves, and the strongholds which are in the mountains.
Wow. So stop right there. So what was happening there, family, was that the Midianites, they were oppressing Israel. They was taking their food, taking their animals, everything. So they was oppressed. So Yato, an angel, a Malach came to Gideon and said, you know what? You're going to be Yeshua's savior. You're going to be a mighty soldier for Yah. And Gideon was like, no, not me. How me? He said, we being oppressed. Nah, he was like, I come from the lowest tribe. I'm not mighty where. Who's a man of valor? Not me. Y'all said, yep, watch me work. But he told him, you're going to step into the calling that I have for your life. You are going to have to destroy those altars in your bloodline. You're going to have to destroy your father's altars, family. So let's drop down. Judges chapter 6, starting at verse 25. You want to read that?
It says, Now it came to pass the same night that Yahuwah said to him, Take your father's young bull, the second bull of the 7 years old, and tear down the altar of Baal that your father has, and cut down the wooden image that is beside it, and build an altar to Yahuwah your Elohim on top of this rock in the proper arrangement, and take the second bull and offer a burnt offering with the wood of the image, which you shall cut down.
That's deep, family. Yah told Gideon, tear down the altar of your father. Step into your destiny. This is what's holding you back. This is why you're not that man that I said you're going to be.
Deep.
Y'all hear that, family? He said, tear down that one and build an altar to me. This is what we're doing today, family.
Yes.
We building an altar to Yah. We tearing down all those other altars that might have been in our bloodline. We starting fresh. We starting new, family.
Destroying them.
We destroying those altars, building a new altar, family. And we're going to tell y'all how to do that.
Wow.
That's deep, family. So,
very deep.
Brother Rasha, Sister Abia, how does that apply in my life today? I mean, y'all talking about some old covenant stuff. We supposed to build altars with stones? That's what y'all saying? We supposed to build a temple and then put an altar in front of the temple or in front of our tabernacle? Because that's what they did. Well, not really, because Abraham did it. He just made an altar. Noah did it. He just had an altar.
And it was what? Rocks?
Yep. They just put some rocks. That was their altar. So again, to summarize again, we know that these altars are powerful. And we saw how Satan copied Yah's altar to do the same thing. Remember, the altar is to communicate with Yah. Yah said, I'm going to come to that altar and bless you. And we know that's what witches do. When they build their altars, that's how they communicate with their demons.
And
they came to make sacrifices at the altar. Witches do the same thing.
Right.
They do their blood sacrifices at the altar.
At the altar.
Mm.
And they even use people as altars. We've seen that
right.
too. Some people that become gods,
Mm-hmm.
you know, where they worship them. And
right.
through that particular being, they get powers and
right.
they get blessings.
Mm-hmm.
And so they see them as a god and treat
right.
them as a god.
Mm-hmm.
That has become their altar.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Covenants was made at these altars. We know that witches doing covenants. They working their witchcraft at the altar.
Right.
Chanting these curses over people at the altars.
Mm-hmm. And just like we pray, they pray too. But it's a different type of prayer.
They chant.
Yes.
And guess
it's
what?
A demonic prayer.
We praying for 1 minute, 2 minutes. Oh, I'm done with y'all.
What they say they be praying for like hours. Like 8-9 hours a day, you all. And we want to sleep on this and be happy-go-lucky in this world.
I'm just saved by the blood.
Right.
You just saw you an easy target.
Easy target. So today we gonna be showing you how to break free from this.
Right. So
how to get y'all moving in your life.
Absolutely. So our we supposed to do it, build our altar by the temple. Well, we know that there's no longer a temple. Who's the temple? 1 Corinthians 3:16. You want to read that?
It says, "Do you not know that you are Yah's temple and that Yah's spirit dwells in you?"
So we scratch that off.
Right.
There's no more temple. We are the temple.
We are the temple. So all of that mumbo jumbo in the world talking about the temple here, temple there, temple everywhere.
We're gonna build a second temple.
No.
Scripture
We are
saying
the temple.
we are the temple.
Period.
Yes.
We're the temple.
But David, again, just like we read earlier, David was telling us what Yah was what he was trying to tell us by the altars. What he was trying to teach us, what he was trying to tell the Israelites about the altars. Let's look at Psalms 141, verse 2. Chapter 141, starting at verse 2. You want to read that?
It says, "Let my prayer be set forth before thee as incense, and the lifting up of my hands as the evening sacrifice." What? Do y'all hear that?
So remember how we read, it was Solomon, David's son, when he was at the temple, how many times he said prayer? How many when he was at the altar, how many times he said prayer when he was dedicating the temple at the altar? This is what David is saying. Let my prayer be set forth before thee as incense.
Incense, right? As incense. This is powerful, you all. So what we see here is prayers being connected to what?
To that altar.
To the
incense. To the incense, right? Because he was telling them burn the incense at the altar.
Right.
But it's still the connection.
Right.
David is making that connection at the prayer. Now our prayer. Now we don't have to do the physical sacrifice. Now our prayers. That's the incense and the sacrifice.
Yes.
Lifting up our hands.
Right. You
our
remember
worship.
Didn't Solomon say he was lifting up his hands when he was praying?
Yep. Yep.
And the lifting up of my hands as the evening sacrifice.
So
what?
David is telling us about the worship.
Wow. Doesn't this sound spiritual? Because we know it's not physical
exactly.
with all of these different burnt offerings and all of the the physical things. Like
I was teaching us something.
Right. We are under the new covenant, right? Which is spiritual.
Yep.
This speaks volumes. This was David.
He spoke again, Psalm chapter 4, verse 5. Offer the sacrifices of righteousness and put your trust in Yahuwah. Remember, the altar was a sacrifice, right? This is where we did our sacrifice. Right. Now our sacrifices is righteousness.
Righteousness.
Sounds like that's our walk, right?
That's our walk. That's our walk. This is obedience. This is the sacrifices Yah wants. It says, offer the sacrifices of righteousness and put your trust in Yahuwah. Deep.
Psalms 116, verse 7.
17.
17. Psalm 116, verse 17. I will offer to thee the sacrifice of thanksgiving Wait a minute. Didn't when Noah walk off the ark, that's the first thing he did. He made a sacrifice of thanksgiving at the altar to Yah.
This one is telling us what the sacrifice of thanksgiving really is spiritually.
And I will call on the name of Yahuwah.
What? This is deep.
So David is tying it all together.
All
David
together.
is saying this is all spiritual.
It is spiritual right there in the scriptures, telling us what these things are spiritually. How are we supposed to be doing it now? Spiritually.
Absolutely. David is just saying it's our praise, it's our prayer, it's our worship, it's our walk, family. All these things. This is what we bring into the altar. This is what Yah wants, family.
Wow.
This is deep. Proverbs 18 verses 20 and 21. It says, a man's stomach shall be satisfied from the fruit of his mouth. From the fruit of his lips he shall be filled. So the things we speak, this is what's going to fill us up, family. 21 says, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love its fruit, those who love it will eat its fruit. That goes back to the things that we speak, family. That's what's going to manifest in our lives. That's why we always talk about being careful about the things we speak about. This is what is the fruit of our lips is what's going to bless us. This is what Yah wants from us. He wants us to speak blessings over our life.
Yes.
He wants us to remind, like how Solomon was doing, reminding him of the covenant. Yeah, this is all the things that you did. This is the fruit of the lips that he wants. From our lips, family. Reminding him of his promises. Seeking him, family. It's deep, family. That is deep. And again, Yahushua, he told us how to pray. He expounded on it. He expounded on that what David was talking about. He said in Matthew chapter 6, verse 6, you want to read that?
It says, but you, when you pray, go into your room, and when you have shut your door, pray to your Father who is in the secret place. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you.
Remember, family, at the altar, when they went to the altar, what Yah did? This is where Yah spoke to him. Yah said, this is where I will bless you. Come to the altar and I will bless you. Yahushua was saying the same thing. When you go and pray in your secret place, your Father will reward you.
Right. So that sounds to me like that personal relationship, right?
Right.
That one-on-one with Yah, where everybody's not around. It's just you and him.
You and him.
You and him.
This is what Yahushua is saying.
Yes. You and him.
That's deep, family.
Yes.
That is deep. And we saw all throughout the scriptures when Yahushua prayed.
Right.
He always went off by himself.
Yes.
It goes back to what Noah and Abraham was doing. Jacob. They was just awful. They wasn't making no big show of stuff.
Right.
They had their own. They built their own little altar. This is when I spoke to Yah. Yah is in this place.
Right. And I want to say something too, since they're talking about prayer. We have someone who had commented, because sometimes we cannot get to all the comments you all. But I just want to mention, someone had commented and asked why we don't pray before we do our messages.
Right.
And the thing is, we do.
Yes.
We always do.
We
pray. Never come on without a prayer. We pray, yes, and we pray for everyone.
Exactly.
Before we come on. It's just that you all don't see us praying.
Right. But why? Because what Yahushua said.
Everybody's different. You have some people who will be on their, you know, stuff and talk. I mean, praying before whatever. To each his own. That's between them. But our walk with Yah that's what He gives us. Yes. To pray before we come on. But we never come on without a prayer. So we just wanted to share that.
Yes, absolutely. And like Sister Abigail said, we pray for our viewers, our followers, those that's a part of the ministry. Each and every day. Every day. Not just on Shabbat. No.
We always pray for all of you. Every day.
Every day.
Yes. Some of you who we familiar with. we call your names. I mean, we mention your names in prayers. You know, and if we're not familiar with you, we still say those who follows our channel. You know, all of our brothers, even those who don't.
Exactly. Even those that don't even follow us no more. We still pray for them.
Because it's our prayer that we all be in the kingdom together someday. You know. That's what Yah wants for us. That oneness.
Let's keep reading, family. Paul understood the same principle what David was talking about, what Yahushua was talking about. Let's look at it. Romans chapter 12, verse 1. You want to read that?
I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of Elohim, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice.
What?
To present your bodies.
He must have read what David was saying.
No, he ain't telling us to go and do something to ourselves physically, right? But it says to present your body. I'm talking about do harm to ourselves physically. But it says to present your bodies as a living sacrifice. Quadash, which is set apart and acceptable to Elohim, which is your spiritual worship.
The same thing what David was talking about, family. We are that living sacrifice. Right. That's the spiritual worship.
Yes.
Our walk is supposed to reflect that, family.
Yes. And what it says, a living sacrifice, quadash, like set apart and acceptable to Yah. So what is that telling us? That goes back to when it says the sacrifice of righteousness.
Yes.
The walk.
The walk. That's why we say, family, our walk got to reflect everything. Yes. We can't be walking around here with hatred, with unforgiveness. That's why here at this ministry, family, we always talk about spiritual things. Yes. We always tie it back to spiritual things. Yes. Because you can have the right clothes. You can have the right clothes, do all the sacrifices, everything. Have all the right Hebrew names. If that walk not right, you not walking this out spiritually. All for nothing.
All for nothing. It's in vain.
All for nothing.
Yes. Yes. With this walk they gotta come obedience.
Yes.
Obedience follows.
Let's look at Hebrews 13, verse 15. Therefore, by him let us continually offer the sacrifice of praise to Yah. There's the sacrifices again, family.
Our praise. Sacrifice of praise. Whoa.
What's the sacrifice? How it said the altar is the sacrifice? That's where you do the sacrifice?
That's what he was saying, right?
That is, y'all listen to this, family. The fruit of our lips, giving thanks to his name. We just read in Proverbs about the fruit of our lips.
Woo. This is deep.
Giving thanks to his name.
What does that sound like? Everything we've been reading. What does all of these things sound like? When do you do these things?
Sound like you do that when you're praying, right? Sound like if you do these things when you're praying, sound like there's going to be some type of power behind that. Didn't it say y'all going to bless us? When you come to the altar doing these things?
Because a lot of the examples we were given, it was always a time when Yah spoke to them. They spoke to Yah. When they were praying, like King Solomon, he broke it down very well. When we seen his example, it made it clear he was praying.
He was praying to Yah. Yah, this is all the things you said you're going to do.
Affirming Yah's promises.
Affirming the promises. Reminding Yah. Yah, you said you're going to do it. I'm holding you to it.
Yes.
You said, if I do this at the altar, I'm going to get blessed. So I want these blessings. This is going to be the fruit of my lips.
Right.
Let's look at another example too, which is deep. This story is deep, family. I want y'all to listen to this. And this goes back to, because we've heard this sometimes too, people. And we're talking about the hidden power of altars, family, and elevating your prayers.
Right.
We hear people say sometimes, you know what, my prayer's not getting heard. I've been praying all this time. Family, do not give up, because the scriptures tells us not to, family.
Right.
We talked about this last week. How many years have we prayed for fellowship? How many years have we prayed for certain things for Yah to move in our life? And he's done it.
He has done it,
family.
Your prayers will be answered. So walk by belief and not by sight, because remember it says, belief is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So we hoping for those things to come to pass, even though we don't see it. Because a lot of things you all are already formed. Our blessings are already formed in the spirit realm. It just has to come into the physical. And it's in Yah's timing. It could be many reasons why it hasn't come into physical yet. It could be anything. It could be from he's holding it back because maybe it's something he wants us to do. Which is obedience, which is cutting certain things out of our lives. You know, it can be, he wants us to be patient. You know, it can be different factors. And only Yah can show us these things.
Exactly.
But it also says, be anxious for nothing, but by prayers and supplications, make your prayers known to Yahuwah.
Another reason, too, why you're not answering, you still got some doors open.
That can be that,
still got doors open to witchcraft. You dibbling and dabbling. And
your blessings already formed.
What it said, right. What it said. When it said about Israel, when they tried to curse him. They couldn't curse him because they was
couldn't
walking.
Find no wickedness.
Couldn't find no wickedness. So that's why, maybe your prayers, that's why it's not being answered.
Right. But many of... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
But many of... a lot of times, the things we prayed about, like I said before, it is already formed in the spiritual.
Right.
It's already there.
Right.
Just waiting for... Some of it is just waiting for us. Y'all just waiting for us to do something.
Just what he told...
Obedience.
What he told Gideon. You got to go tear down your dad's altar. This is what's holding you back.
Right.
Go tear down them altars. Exactly. You got to do this first.
You got to do this
then
first.
You're going to step into your destiny.
Then you're going to step into your destiny. So sometimes it's that too. And if you are walking upright and you're not seeing anything now, then just know it's because Yah is preparing you for that blessing. And it's going to be in His timing. Right. But let me tell you, He's hearing your prayers, and we're gonna show you.
Let's read in the scriptures, family. This is in Acts chapter 10, starting at verse 1.
1 through 4.
1 through 4. This is Cornelius. It says, there was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion of what was called the Italian regiment, a devout man and one who feared Yah with all his household, who gave alms generously to the people and prayed to Yah. And prayed to Yah always. Well, it seemed like Cornelius had an altar. Cornelius knew something about altars.
And he understood.
He understood the power.
The power of it. So I'm going to give alms generously and I'm going to pray.
Continuously.
Yes, he said always. It said he prayed to Yah always. What? That's why we talk about that personal relationship every morning. Talking to Yah every morning.
Yes, not only every morning, but we was listening to that. We listened to that testimony the other day when it was a witch said she was going to try to bewitch somebody. A woman at the store.
Right.
She said that woman was always praying.
Right.
Said the woman was working in the store. The woman was going on lunch break. She'd have her gospel music on. She's still praying while she's checking out people.
Right.
So it's like these witches couldn't attack her.
Right.
She was always praying.
Right.
It didn't matter if she was working.
Didn't matter. And she was
on
praying,
a lunch break.
Right, when she would do transactions. She was praying over the transactions.
Yes.
Everything was a prayer and they could not attack her. Now this was a former witch, but she has been delivered and converted and now she's walking in truth.
Right.
But you all, she said they could not do nothing with that lady. She was a prayerful woman.
She went to attack the woman. She
can't do it.
She left out of there all confused.
Yes. She ended up buying all the woman's stuff in her store.
Right. She's like, I forgot what I went in the store for.
Yes.
So that was funny. But that goes back to that altar, family. And that altar is because of those prayers.
Yes.
That's deep. Verse 3, it says, about the 9th hour of the day, he saw clearly in a vision and a malach of Yah coming in and saying to him, Cornelius. And when he observed him, he was afraid and said, what is it, master? So he said to him, your prayers and your alms have come up for a memorial before Yah.
What?
Your prayers and your alms have come up for a memorial before Yah.
Do y'all hear that? A memorial? He said it has come up. Now, this is the new covenant scriptures, you all. This is not the old covenant This is new covenant scriptures. Look how they're describing Cornelius' prayers. The alms that he was doing for the people. And his prayers. They say he was praying always. Remember how Mashiach prayed always? How Mashiach prayed always? And how Yahushua was showing us how, he was being an example. He was showing us how to do it. We should always be in prayer. We should never be like, you know what, I'm too busy for y'all. Throughout the day when there's an opportunity. If you see something, that you want to pray over, pray about, whatever the situation is. But always having that connection with Yah. That's what Cornelius was doing.
This is deep, family. I hope y'all getting this, family. I hope this message is edifying. I was just looking at that when it said, and we hadn't even studied this. When it said the memorial, what it means, I just looked at the Strongs. Family, now, if you just tuning in, please go back and watch the beginning of this lesson, because this lesson is deep, family. If you want to elevate your prayers, you want breakthrough in your prayers, family. At the beginning, it said the altar was what? Some of the definitions was what? Sacrifice. It said offer, offering sacrifices. Now, when it said a memorial, it says a remembrance offering.
Wow.
So his prayers was an offering. That's why we're talking about those prayers. That's the altar, family.
And look, remembrance, meaning that Yah will remember our prayers. Whoa. You all, I don't know how it's reaching you, but this is deep, because this lesson was deep for me and Brother Rasha as well. We was like, whoa.
And we prayed. Now we really understood the power of prayer. But now we tying it to the altar.
Oh my goodness.
We making that connection.
What?
Family, this is deep, family.
Come on. This is what look, when you pray, your prayers go up to him as a memorial.
So never think that my prayers not being answered. Those prayers are a memorial.
Yes.
Yah will
a remembrance
offering. It's a remembrance offering.
A reminder too,
and a reminder.
Reminding Yah.
So that goes back to that widow that kept pressing. What was it? A judge or somebody?
It was somebody that I remember. It was somebody that did her wrong.
That did her wrong. She kept going pressing them. She kept. You gotta avenge me. And she didn't stop, and they was like, man, I gotta do something. To get her off of me. So they just kept reminding them.
Let me do it for her.
Let me do it for her, because she kept reminding
them.
So that's why we gotta keep praying, family. Do
never
not
stop.
give up. Never stop. Because just like how I said, it's a remembrance, and it reaches up to Yah. It talks about it in Revelations, family. Revelations 5, starting at verse, what's that, 8? You want to read that?
It says, now when he had taken the scroll, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, each having a harp and golden bowls full of incense, which are the prayers of the saints. What? Do y'all hear that?
Wow. So those Malaks had golden bowls full of incense. That incense is the prayers of the saints.
Wow.
So our prayers are being collected.
It's being collected.
Our prayers are being collected, family.
Ooh, my goodness.
Y'all hear that, family? So don't stop praying.
Right.
Don't stop praying, family.
Stop. And if you haven't started, you might want to start today. You might want to start.
They talked about it again. Revelations chapter 8, verse 3. You want to read that?
It says, then another angel, which is Malak, having a golden censer, came and stood at the altar. Y'all hear that? Came and stood at the altar. So it's another altar, right?
An altar in the world to come in the kingdom? What they gonna have at that altar?
So you keep hearing altars, right?
All throughout Scripture.
Altars.
So again, there is power in that altar, family.
In altars. And it says he was given much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all the saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne.
Ooh, so our prayers going to be before the throne.
So wherever we praying, you all, we are forming altars. These are altars wherever we are. So say like if you going in a certain place every day, same place. It could even be in your vehicle when you drive, and if you need to talk to Yah. And this is something that you consistently do. Anytime that you're talking to Yah, you are forming an altar.
Exactly.
Because look what it's saying here. It's an altar, and then she went with the prayers to the altar.
That's deep, family. And that's the point that we're trying to make, family, about this lesson, about the altars and elevating your prayer. Just like what Sister Abigail said. The consistency, being consistent. It's important. That's what your altar is, family. Because Yahushua told us, you go in your secret place to pray. You just have that place where you're going to keep going no matter what. Yes. I'm going to keep praying because guess what? My prayer is going to be a remembrance. They're going to be a memorial. I will keep going every day. Nothing will stop me. Satan will not stop me. His minions will not stop me. And guess what? We know the power of the altar, family, because it's at the altars, that's what we see in the scripture. Yah spoke to him at the altar. Right. Yah said, I'm going to bless you at the altar. You come to me at the altar, I will bless you. I will make covenants with you. Yes. I'll make promises with you. All these things, family. I'm going to bless your generations at the altar. The principles are still true. Still the Everything is still true. Yah's promises. Just like what we said. These people practicing witchcraft, they still got their altars. They doing that, and they speaking to these demons through these altars. Right. So guess what? As believers, family, we got to have our altar set up. Yes. And again, like Sister Abigail said, it could be in your house. It could be in your prayer closet. Some people could say prayer closet. It could be in your room, car, wherever. Right. But this is a place where I will go. This is my place to talk to Yah. Yes. And nothing will stop me. I will be consistent, family. And I'm going to do this and have my one-on-one time with Yah. With nobody else around. It's between me and Yah. Yes. And family, we know from experience. By doing that and being consistent with it, Yah will speak to you. He is going to deliver you. Yes. Anything. You're looking for breakthroughs, he's going to deliver, family. You just have to have faith. Consistent. You have to have belief and trust in him. Now with the scriptures we have given today, you all, it is showing that your prayers are not going unnoticed. It is telling you that that Yah's going to remember it. It's a remembrance offering. So when you pray, it is going up as a memorial to Yah. Even the alms that we do for people, these things are very important. Absolutely. So, family, that was the lesson. Y'all let us know in the comments. You gonna start with your altar? You gonna be consistent? And we not talking about setting you an altar up with idols and all that. No, Y'all say not to do that. You want to go to Yah. When you go to him, make sure you're cutting off all that stuff. Yes. Cutting it all off. Yes. He wants us he wants a clean heart. Yah wants us to come to him with a clean heart and for us to allow him to purify us. Right. We know that through Yahushua Mashiach that we are made right through him, and it's not by our works. But we do know too that even in that, after we get the understanding and we accept Yahushua, now it's a walk that follows. Obedience has to follow. Absolutely. It has to follow. Absolutely. So, family, that was our lesson, and we did a lesson too a while back about prayers. If y'all hadn't seen it, go check that out. That was another good lesson about how to pray and stuff like that. And if you hadn't been following along with our last two lessons, definitely it goes along with this one. Check those out, family. Those dealing with covenants and witchcraft and all of that. So this was deep, family. We learned a lot through this series. And if y'all puts it on our heart, we'll talk more about this. Right. But we hope you all got something from this lesson. We hope it was edifying, family. Yes. And we may do something too on that sheet that we did about the prayers and all that. About breaking witchcraft. Right, y'all let us know. Yeah, y'all let us know. Right. Like if any of you tried to look at it and if you understood it or if you need more help with it, let us know. Right. Let us know. That way we can know what to do. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So Again, family, thank our moderators.
Thank you
all
so much, our moderators. We love you. Thank you for the help and for helping us with kingdom work, because this is really for y'all. This is all for
y'all, not for us.
Yes, so you guys are a blessing, and we thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And just thank you to all who've been a blessing to us, family. May y'all continue to bless you and your household.
Yes.
We thank you all, family.
Thank you so much. You all have been such a blessing to us.
Yes, so enjoy the rest of your Shabbat, family. We'll talk to you all next week or during the week.
Y'all willing.
Y'all willing.
Love you.
All right.